Audit. I'm a sales manager here at Strongpoint, and I wanted to thank you for coming. Paul and I have been part of the team here for a number of months now, as we are expanding our sales team and our sales efforts going forward. So the purpose of today is to give you a bird's eye view of Salesforce for our current NetSuite customers and our partners. It's not meant to be in depth. It's not meant to go into great detail. If those are things you do desire, we can arrange to have that afterwards. My email is available in the webinar invite, as well as at the end of the actual webinar itself. I just tossed it in at the bottom of the question and answers. This will only take about 15 or 20 minutes, not a lot. We left some time for questions if you have them. And as Catherine pointed out, our MC, if you have any questions, you can write them in the box in the tool, and we'll get to those towards the end. All right, without further ado, as I mentioned, there's a picture of me, there's a picture of my associate Paul, and today's event will be Smart Change Management and Continuous Audit with Salesforce. We're going to have a brief, just to give you an idea of what's going on, we're going to have a brief overview of the product. We're going to let you know what our customers are thinking currently who've gone through the process. We'll show you a little bit behind the scenes, and then that towards the end, how can we make this easy for you if you're interested in installing Salesforce, Strongpoint for Salesforce. Right. So our mission hasn't changed with this product. It's the same as it is in NetSuite: stress-free documentation, change management, and compliance. It's exactly the same from that perspective. And just a little bit of insight, one of the reasons we moved into the Salesforce platform, well, not only is it a massive entity on its own and a huge market, but with the ASC 606 revenue recognition compliance issues that are coming down the pipe as of 2018 in January, there's a real need for compliance on the Salesforce side as well, which is not everybody is aware of or not. But just like on the NetSuite side, there is more and more of those automated documentation and compliance needs as well. So our product, as I mentioned, it's pretty much the same but different. It's based on the same element of everything is documented heavily. We do all the heavy lifting from that perspective. So every customization, every workflow, every field, every object, every entity, it's all documented, and all the interdependencies between those objects and entities. And that's the same basis on the NetSuite platform as it is for the Salesforce. And again, because of that, we have most of the same tools, like 95–98% of the same tools. We'll get into a little bit more in depth, or Paul will, in a matter of a few minutes. But we have the risk analysis, the impact analysis, the release workflows. Everything's from the same from that perspective, even in the continuous audit aspect. It will obviously have a different feel to it, as you will see, but the bottom line is this is virtually the same product. So one of the questions you may be asking, I said, 95 or 98% the same. How is it different? Some of the obvious things, we have a finder feature, which is quite a powerful tool that we're able to use. I'll let Paul get into a little bit more in depth in that. One thing we don't have a screenshot though is of the release and transport, but this is a great tool in itself. It's very slick, very simple. One press of a button, it'll allow you to put your sandbox environment and have it installed into production very quickly, and automatically check to make sure it's 100% accurate. So that's a great feature as far as your release management goes. Not everybody will have that element or the need for that. That will be at the enterprise level, but it is an extremely powerful tool. I think the most important thing to talk about that is different is the install. So as we grown with NetSuite, as with all software, you get better at what you do, and it's down to the point now. We were able to start fresh with a new set of APIs with Salesforce, and our install is so lightning quick now, and so very simple and so very easy and so very painless. That incited us when we changed our branding from FlowDocs to Strongpoint, that this became a real element with this is stress-free, automatic documentation and continuous audit. So we focus on the 5-hour install now, and that's just 5 1-hour sessions, over a period of time. So typically, a month we can do significantly less. We do need time for obviously the spider, the scanners to go out and do their documentation, but beyond that, we can move very quickly. It's usually the customer that's the stalling point. And if you were with us last week, there was a webinar where we partnered with Celigo that allows us for multi-platform automated documentation as well. And so that's pretty exciting news. So what do our customers think so far? We've had some pretty strong reviews. I'm not just going to go through and read these. You guys are capable of doing that, but I wanted to give you a gist of what's happening. I touched base on it just in the last slide, but right now people are very happy, and we have a good handful of installs now. We've been doing so since the beginning of the year, so we feel very confident in the product. Very few hiccups, very seamless, very quick to get into your system, very few problems. So we're really excited about this, and the reason why this is so important as well was part of the reason, and I'll get to it a little bit more in depth, that we want you here is if you guys are interested in trying Salesforce in your environment, we want to make it as easy as possible and quick as possible, because as we're having this webinar right now live, most of our brain trust is in Dreamforce currently, grabbing new business, and after just one day, we have a crazy amount of popularity, and so that was the whole goal of this. We want to have the opportunity for our customers to get into the product before the glut comes from some Dreamforce. So lucky you guys. We'll get more into that towards the end here. So now I'd like to just pass the mic over to Paul Stas. Again, he's an account executive with Strongpoint, one of our very finest. And Paul, if you wouldn't mind, please feel free to talk to us about these slides.
To jump in, yeah, thanks, Mike. So really the next 5 slides are going to give you a quick peek at what our tools look like in the Salesforce environment. Hoping to show you, kind of like Mike said, really how similar it is to what you might be using today, while still going through and highlighting some of the new features. So in typical Salesforce fashion, you'll start with a dashboard. And so when you log in, you get a great way to see a quick breakdown of some of the key metrics, such as change types by object, or a quick comparison of compliant versus non-compliant changes. And then down at the bottom, and many of our customers absolutely love this tool, you'll see a rolling summary of every change that has taken place in your system. So just at one quick glance, you've got a very good idea from a change perspective or a customization perspective of what's happening. So that's where you start. And then one of our most commonly used features has always been our ERD view, or our entity relationship diagram. And this is really just the visual representation of all of the system documentation that we now have back behind the scenes. And people absolutely love that for NetSuite, and they still do, and so we couldn't leave that out for Salesforce. And this gives you an easy way to explore simple and complex relationships and understand all of the interdependencies that exist among all of your customizations. So whether you're trying to find out how easy it would be to make a change, or if something has broken and you're trying to understand why, the ERD is a great place to turn for those kinds of answers. Now, if the ERD view isn't good enough, for Salesforce, we also provide a Finder tool, and Mike has already kind of hinted at this because it is very useful for many of our current customers. And so with this tool, you can search through all of your system documentation based on API name or even just a portion of the API name to help you track down the system documentation and change logs that you might be looking for. So this is a great way to find documentation for customization that was maybe made a few years ago or by somebody that's no longer with the company. And so you might not have all of the information, but you kind of know what you're looking for. And so this is a great way to help you narrow it down. And now another one of our most commonly used features for NetSuite has always been our automated impact analysis. There's huge time savings in this for you, and we've really done it in a very similar way. So inside our intelligent change management module, we can automatically summarize all customizations that could be impacted by development or by further customization to a specific change set. So we look at everything that's included in a change set, and then we work through our system documentation and summarize for you exactly what could be impacted if you touch those things. And what many of our customers have always loved on the NetSuite side, and they are now loving on the Salesforce side too, is that we then summarize that for you in very plain language so that you don't necessarily need to be a developer to understand what it means. And so once it's all mapped out in front of you, you have a very good idea of the significance of the change and the potential risk that it poses. So the last couple slides have really been about showing you how to use the system documentation and some of the change management tools that we have and how we can help automate that process for you. But another thing that really is the same and is still critical for many of our customers is our change logs. And so now that you're either, you found the documentation or you're making changes, we'll still provide the great industry-leading change logs that so many of you are used to, that give you a level of detail that is far beyond anything that really you could do manually. So not only do we show you a full change log that includes specific differences in the code, we also populate metadata up the top that shows you, when it was last changed and who made it and where it sits inside your system and other relevant information like that. So I know that was all really quick, but I do hope that I gave you a quick taste of what Strongpoint for Salesforce looks like. And really the best way for you to see it is with your own eyes, in your own system, with your own data. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Mike so that he can talk to you a little bit about how you can go about doing that.
Great. So what's in it for you? And this is again the largest reason why we're running this webinar right now is you've been a loyal NetSuite customer and or partner going forward, and because our systems are so well in place right now, we've got a small army of support people on the Salesforce side who are just waiting for the to ramp up in the Dreamforce tidal wave that should be a tsunami that should be coming shortly. So we want to give you the opportunity to get in before that, and we want to do this as easily as possible, as painlessly as possible, to go with our mission. And we are running a promotion for the month of November, December, so for the balance of the year, and it basically goes like this. So we over the last few years, so let's say 4 or so years, we've had a number of varying pricing strategies, etc. To make things simple and fair, we would like to offer you whatever you're paying currently for your NetSuite services. It would be the same for the Salesforce. So it's kind of hard to get into any sort of details and examples because there are a number of different pricing strategies that were in place previously. So for the month of November, it'll be the same pricing as long as the number of users are roughly the same. For the month of December, we will meet you in the middle. So whatever our current pricing is and whatever your pricing is, we'll meet you in the middle for the month of December. And the idea is to get you in sooner than later. And the reality is, the way we have done things in the past, you always get your acceptance period of a month to determine that is this product right for me? Is it working? Is it the way is intended? And as Paul had indicated, you really don't know how well it works or if it works for you unless you see it with your own data and in your own system. So we want to give you that first month free, and that's free no matter what, whether you accept it, whether you don't accept it. And if you don't accept it, it's money back. No questions asked. Well, we might ask you a few questions, but no questions asked, and you still get that first month free, even if you want to move forward. And I guess more importantly, just to ensure that this is as easy as possible, we can align your different terms between your NetSuite service and your Salesforce service. So if if you're coming up for renewal in 6 months' time, we're happy to give you the first month free, and then another 5 months to line you up, so your two contracts are at the same time. That just makes things a little bit neater, if you want. If not, whatever, we're more than happy to kind of give you the full year. So we're hoping that that this makes it as easy and as simple as possible. The reality is that I think most of you are your customers, so you're happy. And we're going through a process, currently here, which brings on to the next slide, where we brought in some account managers, and this is Jeff Farella, who I'd like to introduce. We won't, he's still new here, so we won't let him get a hold of the microphone to say hi or anything. But he is on listening right now. So Jeff's a new account manager. And his role is ensuring that the product that you currently do have, you're getting full value from. And so if he hasn't reached out to you already, he will be in the coming days, weeks, months, to ensure that you are happy and indeed happy, and we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that that's the case. So his role is a little bit different in the sense that as I mentioned, he's making sure that you're getting full value from your current product. Paul and my role is in ensuring that for your business you have the correct product, and if you're a public company, talking to you a little bit more about auditing and things like that. So a bit of a difference there. We also have a gentleman who's on the Salesforce side as well, Sasha Gajic. I won't do an official introduction at this point. We'll do that in a future date. But in conclusion, I wanted to just let you know, nothing's changed. The whole concept is doing this as fast as possible, as safe as possible, and as compliant as possible. And the only way you can do that is through the automatic documentation, right? It does all the heavy lifting for you, so you guys can do the decisions. And the reality is we're trying to do this as stress-free as possible. And I think we've done a very good job of doing that. So, Catherine, at this point, do we have any questions from the audience?
Hi, at this point, we do not.
There are no questions. Okay. That is, I'll just give it about another 10 seconds if anybody wants to quickly type in a question. That's fine. But while we're doing that, actually, I'll give you a couple minutes, because what I'll do is I'll just take the next minute to explain to you quickly, how the 5-hour implementation works. And it's sort of it's almost like a trade name that we want to have, like 5-hour implementation. It's not all at once. It's done over 1-hour increments over a period of time, and that's from the install to getting it all the way through into your system. Now, if you have a very complex system, if you have with a lot of customizations, and you have and you're going into a full enterprise rollout, the reality is it will be longer than 5 hours. But to get into your system, to get the base scanning done, to get understand how to use this, and to be honest, if you're already current customers, I think a lot of these 1-hour sessions would probably be closer to 20 minutes or even half an hour. But the reality is, you guys could be have that sorted out in less than 5 hours, in a week, in a couple of months, at your pace. So just while I was burning some time, just to wait for any other questions, Catherine, did we get any luck?
No, we did not.
Okay, I tried my best as a salesperson. All right. Well, without further ado, I just wanted to say thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time, and we got you out and under the time period that we allocated. So we appreciate that. We will be following up afterwards to see if there are any other questions that you may have, and we appreciate your time. Thanks again. Take care.